Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, anyone and everyone in between, Brian Von Vier here, back at it again with another set of D&D stories, and today we're going to go back to a nice, sweet little thread we've had for quite a while. What are the scariest or best lines your villains have said? And we've got it all the way up to part 4. Make sure to leave it down in the comments below if you have a villain line that you'd like to share. I've sworn upon my father's name that I will end your wickedness here and now, even if it costs me my life.
Your father and his father before him said the same thing. I wonder if your child will as well. Let's find out.
As the big bad evil guy faced the party in his base, a joke occurred to me.
I have a riddle for you. Before we fight, of course. What do a disgraced paladin, a philandering courtesan, a faithless cleric, and a drunken barbarian have in common?
There were a few haphazard guesses, and the big bad evil guy produced his sword as the castle began to shake. He was, in truth, a remote-controlled clone, and planned to fight the party until the fortress came down on all of them.
A burial plot.
I'll humor your defiance, only because I'm ahead of schedule. After the fight, the party was pretty well beaten down, and the big bad says, 3 minutes earlier than expected. Then he calmly left the room. Big Bad is trying to unleash a sealed zombie army that will destroy everyone. He has stranded banter with the heroes. So, I have one question. While we've all been having this conversation, where have my minions been? Cut to the minions unsealing the zombie army. Context. This was an Isekai campaign, or an Isekai campaign? All of the PCs were from our world. You can probably tell where this plot twist is going. Big Bad Evil Guy is an OP war criminal doctor, not the TF2 medic. Players managed to organize a summit between all the world leaders, major guilds, and heroes to mount an offense on the Big Bad Evil Guy. At the end of the meeting, one of the heroes pulls off a mask. It's the Big Bad Evil Guy, who starts making a speech. Then she mutters something to herself that makes the players freeze.
Really? Most of these guys are like Twitter, complaining about everything while doing nothing to actually help.
Then she released agnosia-inducing gas bombs throughout the entire building they were in. If you don't know what agnosia is, which I had to Google it as well, it's a rare disorder that makes you unable to recognize or identify objects or people, meaning literally nobody recognized each other, and they panicked too much to think of a process of elimination, or listen to the few that kept their heads. Naturally, this leads to absolute chaos. After the gas wore off, half the room was dead, including all but a few world leaders, and the Big Bad Evil Guy was nowhere to be found. Many countries collapsed, including the one the party was summoned to. TLDR, a Isekai doctor talks about Twitter, then tricks room filled with very important people into killing each other, causes countries to collapse. Not a villain, but a dark moment for a character. We were being attacked by multiple undead, and the party barbarian had his strength drained by shadows. When half the party made it to the church to stay safe, he tried to rush back out. The priest refused to let him leave, saying he would die. He said he would not abandon his friends. The priest still refused, and he uttered one final warning.
Do not make me kill you in the house of your god.
The villain in my campaign never really seemed to care about the players, until they finally managed to interfere with one of the steps on his large, world-ending master plan, which prompted him to confront them, angrily uttering the words, "Congratulations, you're finally worth killing." During my Curse of Strahd campaign, the party were invited to Castle Ravenloft for a dinner. Bad idea. During the course of the meal, the cleric, a turtle grave domain cleric, casually dunked on Irina, or Tatiana, and I finally got to use a line I had in my back pocket since the start of the campaign. Strahd looked him dead in the eyes and said in a tune, Dixie's southern aristocratic accent. Trust me, it fits Strahd to a T. I just don't hear it yet, but I'm excited to try.
I am a most gracious host, and you are here under my protection. However, should you say one more cross word about my beloved Tatiana, I will be forced to have you escorted from the premises. And if you then lay even a finger on a servant of mine in the process, I will hunt you down myself and turn you into a vampire spawn. I shall cut off your beard and jam it into a spike in my hearth, where you shall burn for eternity, unable to die, but unable to escape. Have I made myself clear?
Dead silence for at least 2 seconds from the entire party. No one has spoken poorly of Irina since then. The big bad evil guy was an ice witch who followed the commands of a demon. During an exchange with the paladin of the party, she said this to him: "You kill if your god asks to do so. You burn and destroy as he sees fit. You follow its command without a second thought. So tell me, what's the difference between you and I?" In one campaign, I was running this big bad evil guy who was always in control. Cold, calculating, and distant. He even slayed a god who was called down to deal with him. Not dead, but it lost a lot of its power. He was the big bad evil guy from a multiple year group over multiple campaigns. He uttered only one thing, barely a whisper, over the dead body of his wife, with tears in his eyes. The tears alone freaked out my players. She was the only thing holding me back. Oh, that was the first one that got a chill down my sternum. Your deaths have been the same. Timeline after timeline, you fell before me more times than I can count. This was when the party decided to challenge a very powerful chronomancer. We don't see those too often. He kept resetting time whenever he felt like it, and our party decided he should not have access to such power if he used it so willy-nilly. The party thought the villain wanted a town to enslave its people and occupy its homes. They evacuated the people from the town and then burnt all the buildings down before the villain's army could march in. The players confronted the villain's army and showed that the town had already been razed to prevent him from using it. His response was actually surprisingly polite. "Thank you for saving me some time. It was also courteous of you to remove any possible threat to my troops. Now, if you have more generosity within you, give us your stuff and sit in these cages." The players somehow thought that confronting a villain with no backup was a good idea. Spoiler alert, they were thrown into prison. Had this set up for the party in a campaign that fell through. The king of a kingdom was sending the party out to stop the Dark Order from summoning an archdevil to gain their power and rule over the world. The king, of course, was paying the party, giving them special missions and even granting special magical weapons. The party was to enter the final chamber of the big bad evil guy's lair, only to have the king standing there with a glass of wine and the cult leader sharing a toast.
"Ah, here they are now, my personal elite squad. They've done fantastic work taking out all our opposition. Come in, sit down. We are celebrating our victory in bringing forth the Dark Lord. Now that you're here with those blood-stained weapons, the ritual is complete."
With a snap of his fingers, the weapons would bleed out onto the floor, rusting and crumbling away before the Dark Lord is summoned. Every kill they got with the weapons would be a bonus to the Dark Lord. This happened rather recently. The big bad evil guy of my 3-year running campaign finally revealed himself after being teased for over a year. Call that a cliffhanging teaser. The monk's village had been destroyed by this individual and her backstory, and had been plagued with nightmares of that night for over a decade. All the group knew of the big bad evil guy was the tie to the monk, and that the secondary big bad, who had been a constant thorn in their side since the start of the campaign, had the sole goal of destroying the main big bad evil guy. So after a hard fight, the main big bad appears, killing the boss they had been fighting, and his first words were, "Apologies for my interruption. My name is Nikto, champion of darkness, and I have been watching you for some time now. I would like to express my sincere condolences to you, Jasper." An NPC the group had been traveling with, whose father had been assassinated that the players were helping avenge. "I do hope that your father finds peace in the afterlife. His final act of service will not be forgotten. I would also offer my condolences to you, Mistress Valra." The monk player was shocked. Why is he being so nice? It turns out that having this powerful being be cordial and respectful to them actually scared them, as it should, because no one that evil is being polite without a string attached to it. Had a moment where a character whiffed super bad on a grapple check and kind of just ended up hugging the big bad evil guy. There were a couple seconds of awkward silence before he smiled and said, "Do you need a second to recover from that embarrassment?" Honestly, I would just ask him if he'd like to cuddle a little bit more. Hey everyone, Brian Von VA here, back at it again, checking in after the vid. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, ring that bell, that way you get notified when we post a brand new video, or on the rare event that we post a short or go live, which we usually don't, but hey ho, it's there if we want to do it. And of course, leave a comment down below telling us your scariest or best line from a villain. Because hey, I want to see part 5, 6, 7, all the way up to 10. I know we can do it, so fire some comments off. Also, hi everybody in the comments. If you'd like to come say hi to me, Brian Von VA, more than welcome to over on Twitch, but you can find me in the links in the description below. My website has literally every piece of social media that I own directly in there. Pro tip though, it's all Brian Von VA. You don't have to look that hard. That said, I'd like to end things on a little bit of a happy, optimistic note. I have been a voice actor since 2019. And a lot of people have said to me that they loved my voice and they thought I was in so many different things. I've been related to people like Swagger Souls, Alan Alda, Robin Williams, and the truth of the matter is I really haven't been in a lot of like animations or cartoons or games or anything yet. I've been in more games than anything, and I've been on YouTube more than anything, as well as a narrator for documentaries, for D&D stories, yada yada. The point of me saying all of that is very simply this. No matter what craft or trade that you're actually going into, for me it was voice acting, for you it might be drawing, for somebody else it might be making jewelry, it doesn't matter what it is. You have an end goal, and that's great. My end goal is to get into a lot of different things. How you go to that goal, that is never defined. I've been taking the weirdest route to get to the goals that I've wanted to go to and achieve, and so will you. You won't have a straight and narrow path every single time. So don't sit there and feel bad if what you're doing at college or what you're doing at work is just feeling like it's toiling away. Because it might feel that way now, but later down the line, it will pay off so long as you continue to try and progress yourself in whatever field or whatever, I would say, trade that you're trying to do. It does work, and as much as I've had anxiety for years trying to figure out where I was heading with it, it does get you somewhere. You just have to keep going at it, keep doing your research, keep being as smart as you can, not so much academically if you don't have to, but more so with common sense, and just take your time. You'll get there eventually with your own methods. I love you all. Please be safe, happy, and healthy, and we'll see you later. Bye for now.